with us? Yeah.
Good evening, social media, and welcome to Real Fellas Talk Sports. My name is Earl Rush, and I will be the moderator for today. I'm here with Larry Abels and Charles Nolan, also from Washington, D.C. So we're ready to get this show started. Larry Abels, how are you today?
I'm great, Earl. How about yourself?
I'm doing fairly well, Larry. And Charles, how about yourself?
Hey, Larry, Go. You know I'm doing great. I just want to take a second real quick and say, hope everyone had a wonderful holiday, Christmas and so forth. And I look forward to Wednesdays and can't wait to chop it up with you brothers.
Okay, now we've got that going on. We're going to start the show off with our predictions for the NCAA football. Well, I don't want to say Final Four because that runs to basketball, but I'll say the last team left in the college playoff. All right. So Charles, who do you have? Who do you have between Alabama and Michigan?
I have Michigan. Michigan.
All right.
I'm going with Michigan also. Alabama doesn't even belong here. Michigan's going to show them that.
Good point, Mr. Abels. I wanted to drive that point home, and I was going to do it in the next part of the question.
Okay. I'll take Alabama. Michigan's overrated.
So is Alabama.
And they are a big team, which historically do not show up in big, crucial games. And I consider this a crucial game this week. Michigan's not coming through. So I like Alabama. The next game, Charles, who do you like between?
I like Washington over Texas. But a real quick comment. I'm still infuriated over the fact that Florida State's not in. Larry indicated that just a second ago. The more I think about it, and every day goes by, it's just not right. And I guess they're not sending 20 kids. 20 of the kids are not playing in the game against Georgia in this bowl game that's coming up from Florida State.
Okay, Kung Fu says Michigan is destined. So more than likely, I'll probably be right as far as Alabama. Thanks for tuning in, Kung Fu.
What's up, Carol? How you doing?
All right.
What's up, Kung Fu? Happy holidays.
Okay. All right. So we've covered both.
How about you, Go? In terms of Washington and I'm sorry.
Texas?
Okay.
No, I like Washington.
I like Washington too. Nobody asked me.
I don't believe Texas should be in there. I don't think Texas should be in there. I had no idea what all the hubbub was about. About that team.
They beat Alabama.
So if you stick Alabama in, you got to stick Texas in.
No, you don't have to. You don't have to. But they did, so we'll leave it at that. We want the show to run smoothly. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time arguing over something, an insignificant team like Texas, or whether Alabama not should be in there. Alabama should be in there, and Georgia should be in there, as far as I am concerned. Okay, let's move over to the next.
You like that SEC, huh? I like it.
Well, I go by trends and patterns, and I'd say for the last 15 to 20 years, I would take any SEC team in a bowl game over a Big Ten team.
Yeah, but that's not
how. That's just me.
The decision should be made on this season. And Florida State beat 2 SEC teams this year.
What does Florida? But what does that have to do with? We were discussing Big Ten and SEC. So what does Florida State have to do with what we were talking about?
Oh, I thought you were talking about the SEC in general.
No, I said SEC against Big Ten teams. That's what I said.
Yeah, well, no, I didn't
okay, let's try to stop thinking about what we're going to say next, and let's try to listen to what's being said. Okay, next thing. All right. I can't even see the stuff. All right, let's go over to NC. Let's go over to the NFL football. As you can tell, I'm a bit discombobulated today. I apologize. All right. Has Brock Purdy lost the chance at the MVP, Larry?
Well, tough question. If he was a legitimate candidate last week, I don't know why he wouldn't still be a legitimate candidate after 1 week. But he probably won't get it. The betting odds are against him now. It's funny how that works. It's incredible to me.
It's stupid how it works. This guy is playing great all year because he has a bad game. Now he's not considered. I don't consider him an MVP caliber player, but I'm just saying what's right is right. He's been playing great all year. He had a couple of bad games. Now he's out. Just like Zach has been playing up to date. And he's no longer considered because he had a bad game.
Well, that's kind of my point. If he was considered one of the MVP candidates last week, I don't see why 1 week would knock him out of there. Well, now, I'm not sure.
Define candidate. If you're saying he's still in the top 5 or 6, sure, he might still be in the top 5 or 6. But last week, he was in the top 2 or 3. And I don't think he's in the top 2 or 3 anymore. Do you?
I don't think he would have fallen that far. I didn't necessarily think he was that great from the beginning. But the whole idea with me is, how does one game knock him out of there? I mean, out of we're in game what week 15 coming up now. I don't think if he was a favorite, it's almost like he was borderline. Now he's not even talked about.
Well, Larry, who would you? Okay, I'll bite Larry. So when you say that, you must have someone in mind that you thought was ahead of him anyway.
Well, maybe it could be. It probably could be a lot of people, but my whole point is I don't see the logic of if he was really the top candidate going into last week. Yeah. I don't know why he would fall out of the running.
Because he lost, and he threw 5 or 4 interceptions.
Yeah, but that's one bad game. Who hasn't had a bad game?
Well, all of them. That's why it was jockeying, and that's why he was at the top, because he had recovered from his previous bad games earlier.
Well, the way I look at the MVP, I just look at it as a season award. So if this is almost like we're ranking them like a college basketball ranking. I didn't think the MVP worked that way, but that's what it seems like.
How would it work, Larry? If that isn't how it works,
I would evaluate their play for the entire season and make a decision who played the best over the entire season.
So you wouldn't have anybody say anything until the season was over, and then choose who. So you wouldn't do this week by week speculating situation that we do.
I would just say the question was, has he lost his chance? And I would say, if he was really ranked that high,
and
one game shouldn't knock him out of there.
Wow. Okay.
Well, I mean, this MVP thing is getting kind of crazy to me. Anything. It's because of these idiot media people excluding us. It's like betting. It's like they're talking about. It's like they're talking about right now. Even right now, if Buffalo's quarterback, if they make it to the playoffs, and he has 2 big games, that he's considered in the running. Okay, come on, it's too many. He has too many turnovers for all that. Well, how can this guy be in the running for MVP?
Was Fenner's first name? Hey, was it Glenn? Fenner? Greg, hey, Greg, how you doing?
What's up, Dr. Fenner? Thanks for joining us again. And you're right. In a big game, you got to show up if you want to be the MVP at this point in the season. As I said to you guys last week, that game was huge. There were 3 guys in contention for MVP. I know you think, I'm not saying you're wrong. I know you were believing that the receiver, Tyreek, and perhaps Tua were also in that mix. But I thought that the MVP was coming out of that game, and there was 3 of them, McCaffrey, Purdy, and Lamar. And I said whoever won that game and showed out that game was going to win the MVP. And I said it was going to be Lamar.
But isn't it a season award? I mean, didn't Purdy play big games against
12-3? They got the best record in football, Larry.
Didn't they have big games against Philadelphia and Dallas? Weren't those big games?
Who did?
San Francisco.
Yeah, they did. They did. That's why he was at the top of the list up until the other night. That's why he was up top after 3 losses in a row.
I think it should be a season award.
It should be, but it isn't. It should be, but it isn't.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If he was that high, I don't see why he would be out of the picture. You know, he could bounce back and had 2 great games.
Well, Larry, Georgia, maybe I'm mixing, but Georgia was number 1 for weeks. They lost to Alabama and they fell out of the top 5. That's what happens at this. You cannot lose games.
I don't think football has given their MVPs based on that historically. I think it's a lot more interest this year because now what they're doing is taking who's betting in Vegas, and that's really where those 3 names came from because that's who people are betting on now. So that's what's really driving the narrative behind this. I think in the past they've looked at who played the best over the season, not necessarily in one game. And normally being on a winning team helps too.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, Mr. Finner says you got to show up in the big games. Purdy got exposed. He threw 4 interceptions. And
my response to him wasn't Dallas and Philadelphia big games when he played against them.
Earlier in the year, Larry, why do you keep saying that? We're running out of runway. You got to perform.
No, I'm saying I'm not giving this game anymore. That's the difference between us. He said big games. Those were big games, and he showed up. It's one thing if he had
That's exactly why he was at the top of the list. That's what I don't understand. He was at the top. He's got to keep winning. You can't lose.
Okay, I'm only addressing Finner's comment. He was saying he's got to show up in big games. My response to him was he has showed up in some big games. That's all. I don't agree with the latest thing. I think it's a seasonal thing. Well, I'm not sure Lamar should get it.
I don't know why you wouldn't be sure of it.
Because there's probably about 10 or 15 guys that pass for more yardage than him in the league.
But that's not the issue either. You can't assess the value of that guy just based on the numbers. You know what I'm saying?
We talking about for the league, Charles. We ain't talking about the value of the team.
I know, but he's saying that Larry was saying there are other guys in the league that got better numbers and bigger this.
Right.
So why would you?
His value is greater than the numbers. His value is greater than the numbers.
What are we measuring his value by?
Wins. He's driving the Mercedes. He's the one he's driving this thing. He's got a ton of rushing touchdowns. He got 9 rushing touchdowns and 17, 18 passing touchdowns. I mean, he's having a really.
No, he don't have that many. He don't have that many. He don't have that many.
He's having. No doubt about it.
Lamar Jackson, I love him as well, but I don't see him as a candidate. I don't care. I don't care if.
Good Lord. Okay.
That's just me. Yeah.
I think he could be considered, but I don't see him as a hands down winner. I mean, he might be.
When you have 10 guys that have better stats than him.
Then Larry, you have to tell me who your leading candidate would be, so I can rip him apart.
I think McCaffrey probably has had the best season out of all the football players. He scores a touchdown in almost every game they play. It's hard to take that away from him.
Well, Greg Finner says Purdy had 4 touchdowns, and Carroll says he has 5. So how many touchdowns and interceptions did he throw?
I think they were talking about interceptions.
Did he throw 4 or 5 interceptions?
He threw 4. The other guy threw 1.
Yeah,
So
Kung Fu was just completely wrong in that one, right?
No, he added the backup quarterbacks. Backup quarterback threw interception.
We're not talking about the backup.
That's what I'm thinking about.
Okay, Kung Fu's wrong. Okay. All right. So Mr. Fenton says, I don't think Purdy's out of the picture. His stock just took a big drop. Larry's not wrong, but just the timing of his horrible game.
I agree with you on that.
I think Greg is just being a wonderful politician in his comments.
No, I just think, Charles,
here's logic.
You can take Purdy off the board.
I just think you said that because he doesn't completely agree with you. That's what I'm saying.
And he's kind of saying, Chuck's whole thing is timing and everything.
And not only that, Charles, you're saying you asked Larry to name his candidate so you can pick him apart. Is that our goal here?
But that's because he's taking Lamar.
I said McCaffrey. I said McCaffrey. Now pick him apart. Pick McCaffrey apart.
Well, he's missed games too, and that team is so talented that they can spread it around. And he didn't win a big game the other day either. He was on
Well,
the
Okay.
end of that
his
game.
team didn't win a game.
I got to do what I'm paid to do here, and that's moderate, keep things
And
smooth.
by the way, I think he might right now. He's probably in second place, McCaffrey. So I'd give you that.
Yeah, he scores a touchdown every week. I mean, that's consistent every week. Nobody does that.
Okay, gentlemen, I'm not trying to cut anybody off, but I am trying to go on to another subject. Does that make sense? No? Okay.
Yeah, I was going to take Chuck apart, so you better go ahead.
Lamar Jackson.
The thing is, we're spending too much time over this stupid award anyway. So let's move on.
The MVP, Lamar Jackson.
Charles, who would be
when they
your
give it to him at the end of the year, I guess you guys like that. That would be Lamar Jackson.
Charles, who would be your MVP candidate?
Lamar Jackson.
Larry, yours.
I'll stick with McCaffrey.
Let me ask you this, Charles. Before the game that was played this weekend between the 49ers was
Purdy.
Was Lamar Jackson even on your list before that game?
Yeah, in my top three, yes.
Okay, I'm just.
I mean, yeah, and I don't mean it's like that. I mean, last week we talked about this subject. There was a big.
Well, if that's the case, Charles, we need to move on because we spent too much time on this. If we talked about it last week, we don't need to be talking about it this week. I guess I was being lazy. And let me come up with an easy topic.
I was trying to say you were asking me who was your guy before the game, and I can't drive this point home enough. I said last week this game was the preview to the Super Bowl. It is a huge game. They're going out there to play this team that was a juggernaut, and I said Lamar was going to win. And when he does that, it was going to elevate him to the top, and he's going to be the league MVP. That is exactly what happened, and that's exactly what's going to be happening when he wins the MVP.
But why though?
Because those were the two best teams.
What is the criteria? You mentioned that you don't look at the statistics. So what is the criteria that you
winning? Winning is the what I look
at. It's a number of teams that have won as many games as Baltimore.
No, they haven't, Larry. No one's won as much as Baltimore. No one. They've got more wins than anyone in the National Football League. Larry.
They have more wins than San Francisco?
Yes. Jesus, what am I doing? Okay.
What's their record? Like 12?
12 and 3. 12 and 3. And the only three, and those three losses were by luck. They shouldn't have even lost those three.
Gentlemen, I tried to move along. I didn't want to be nasty or rude, but we're spending too much time on this, so I'm going to go into another subject. Okay?
Okay.
All right.
I'm a little surprised at the reaction tonight.
Huh?
I'm a little surprised tonight. Thought you guys were going to come on the show and say, you're right, he was the MVP, but was wrong.
Oh, I think he's a candidate.
Really, Larry? Thanks. He's a candidate?
Hey, but I didn't hear you mention anything about him until last week.
Are you? Well, I know, because it was building up until then. He wasn't as dominant because the other guy like Purdy and like you say, McCaffrey, and maybe even Tyreek, their numbers were good.
And I remember people talking about Hurt and all of that up until a couple of weeks
ago.
Right,
until he started to fold a little bit. Right. Meanwhile, Lamar has been, this is going to be a big month of December for Lamar because he's finally healthy in December.
So let me ask you this. If Lamar loses, here's a question that I want to ask you. This is why I'm saying that this award is silly. And I don't even know why I keep going back to it because I've been trying to change subject for the last 2 minutes.
What if Miami beats them?
If Miami beats
Baltimore.
Yeah.
The Ravens. If Miami beats the Ravens and they have equal statistics and very close to one another, who's the MVP at that? Will next week be Miami's quarterback?
I don't think it'll be Miami's quarterback. I think that would tighten the race, though. I think if the race would get tightened, it would be depending on.
Okay, so what if this guy's stats were a little bit more than the Ravens quarterback?
Oh, he's got more yards than everybody in the league.
Okay, I'm just asking Charles, would he be the leading candidate next week if they beat the Ravens and
I don't. Well, it depends on how McCaffrey does. So, but let's say McCaffrey has another 100-yard game and scores another touchdown. I think and then let's say Tua beats.
We're not talking about McCaffrey. I'm talking about Baltimore and Miami playing. If Miami's quarterback is stats are better than Lamar Jackson, will he then be the leading candidate if Miami wins that game? That's what I'm asking.
No,
Why? I'm just going by what you were saying earlier.
he's not. He wouldn't be. He just wouldn't. He wouldn't be better than Lamar, and he's not having a better season and all that stuff.
Why is he having a better season than Lamar?
Who's not having a better? Miami's quarterback has
He's
huge
leading
stats
in yardage, and if they beat Baltimore, they'll have the same record.
They haven't beat anybody, Larry, but they beat the Cowboys. The only team they beat this season with a winning record. The only team this year.
Who have the Ravens beat besides San Francisco?
They got punched in the face by Buffalo. They got punched in the face by even the Jags beat them. They got punched in the face.
No. They lost to the team that beat them bad was Buffalo.
No,
they lost to Cleveland, and Cleveland also beat San Francisco this year.
Cleveland beat Baltimore twice.
Yeah, so that's a team. Yeah.
Do you have your top 5 ranked teams in the NFL?
Oh yeah. Baltimore, San Francisco, Philadelphia. Who do I have there? Miami and Cleveland.
Charles, do you have 5 picks?
I do. They are the Ravens, San Francisco, Philly, Lions, and the Bills.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Okay. Charles Snowden, has the Chiefs and Patrick Mahomes lost their magic?
It does appear that way right now. It does appear that way. And you can't blame it on the drop passes this week, can you? It does appear that way, but we got 2 more weeks to go. They're still at the top of their division, I believe. And he has a chance to rekindle it with 2 more weeks to go. But it does appear that he's lost some of the magic.
Larry Amos.
I think Mahomes can still play. I think San Francisco is missing their offensive coordinator. Believe it or not.
Kansas City is missing.
I mean, yeah, Kansas City is missing.
I agree with that.
The enemy.
100%. Matt Nagy is terrible. I've been saying that too.
I think Mahomes is still the best quarterback in the league.
I don't disagree with that either.
Okay. Charles Snowden, will the Buffalo Bills make the playoffs?
I think they will. They're one of the hotter teams in football right now. I think they will make it. I do. They're 9-6 or something like that right now, and they are coming.
Okay, so if they make the playoffs, and their quarterback has no interceptions, and the next 2 games he has thrown for over 400 yards, will he then be considered a candidate for the MVP?
No. Nope. Candidate for MVP with those 3 guys I just talked about. McCaffrey, it was Purdy and Lamar. McPurdy's been removed. It's going to be McCaffrey or Lamar.
So I guess you're agreeing to Davis' theory, MVP, and everyone else's theory that the MVP is just for quarterbacks.
McCaffrey's a running back. I said it was going to be those 2. Those are the 2 finalists. See, I don't believe I see that. Here's the debate we're having, really. Larry, all year long, and it's rightfully so, he's liked Miami. He thinks they got that high-powered offense and all that stuff. And I don't disagree with the fact that they've scored some points and put up some numbers, but they've done it against trash. And I mean absolute trash. They played the Panthers and the Commanders and the Jets twice and and who else? The Patriots. I mean, it's just garbage. And so the numbers are more inflated than they really are. And when they play good teams, they're not able to do that kind of thing. So, they barely beat Dallas last week.
So let's look at the logic here. All right.
Mm-hmm.
They've lost against good teams. You got teams like San Francisco that has lost against teams that are not good. Which does that make Miami?
San Francisco crushed Philly. They crushed Dallas. They beat Seattle both times. These are playoff teams. They're not the Commanders and the Jets and the Patriots and the Panthers and those.
Well, I mean, they
got 4 losses. They've lost the 4 losses they've lost to are teams. They lost.
Miami lost to. I can tell you, Miami.
They lost to the Bills. They lost to the Bills. They lost to the Chiefs. They lost to the Eagles, and they lost to the Titans.
Right.
And the rest of the teams they played was trash. They had one good win this year. They beat the Cowboys at home by 2.
So they lost to good teams, and San Francisco lost to Cleveland. Cleveland beat both of them, which maybe we need to talk about. I mean, Cleveland beat Baltimore and San Francisco, but they lost to Cleveland, Minnesota, and Cincinnati.
Yeah. Who?
San Francisco.
Who did? Yeah.
So they've lost to trash teams, Minnesota and Cincinnati.
They've crushed quality teams, crushed them.
So it kind of balances out.
Okay, so Kung Fu
you
said
value Miami more than I value Miami. That's all I'm saying. And that's okay. You can agree to disagree.
So if McCaffrey goes over 2,000 yards, all-purpose yards, and Hill goes over 2,000 yards, who wins the MVP then?
Well, I don't think Hill will because he's a little banged up. He only has 99.
Okay.
Okay.
Hey, Larry, if Christian McCaffrey goes over 2,000 yards,
and Lamar doesn't play,
and Hill goes over 2,000,
Lamar doesn't play,
and Hill goes over 2,000 yards,
and Lamar doesn't play,
I did that.
Well, that's part of this whole thing. They're not going to jump over Lamar unless Lamar falls apart.
Well, Miami's playing on Baltimore, right? So and Hill needs a lot of yards these last 2 games because he's missed a couple of games. So he has a great. So I'm assuming he's going to have a good game against Baltimore too. I think he'll definitely be in a run. I used to like Hill early on. I liked him and McCaffrey as much as anybody else out there, but I still have to. McCaffrey scores touchdowns every game. Hill certainly has a dramatic impact on every game he plays, but I would still probably go with McCaffrey if he keeps playing the way he's been playing.
Okay. So Kung Fu's top 5 are Baltimore, Miami.
Yep.
Wait a minute.
Baltimore Browns and Browns.
Hold up, Kung Fu. Baltimore and the Ravens are the same. You got 2 Browns. Well, he changed it in another thing. He meant to say the Lions, but for which Browns did he mean to say the Lions?
Those are the
Baltimore Ravens. Those are the Baltimore
Come on,
Ravens.
Kung Fu. You're throwing confusion in the show, man. Come on, man. Come on. What's the word here? Hey, Larry, Charles is being a bit abrasive today. I might have to tune off, and I might let you just take over the show because he's
what did he do, man? What did he have done anything?
Something's wrong with him. He raised his voice at me like I'm crazy, like he's crazy or something. I'm not trying to get into this on a public show, so I might have to drop off and you might take over.
Hang in there, man. Hang in there, man.
Charles ain't gonna be talking to me like that, man. You know what I mean? Like that. Forget that. Calm down, Charles. I know I do it a lot myself, Charles. I'm not gonna be the pot and call the kettle black, but calm down. All right.
So what was the last question? Will Buffalo make the playoffs?
Yeah.
Didn't you ask that? Charles, you answered that, right?
Yep.
I think they'll make it as well. They're in 6th place. 7 teams make it. And it's 4 teams right behind them with 8-7 records. So I think they would have to lose both of their games in order not to make it. And Buffalo has New England this week. I expect them to win that game. I think they finished with Miami, which might be, if that game means something, that might be something. But those 4 teams behind them, I can't see all of them winning 2 games. For instance, 2 of those teams play each other, like Indianapolis and somebody else play each other. So one of them is going to lose. And one of them has a real tough schedule. Cincinnati has Kansas City and Cleveland left, so I can't see them winning 2. So I'm figuring Buffalo's going to get in there with 1 win. And I think they'll get that win this week against New England.
Okay. All right. Does anybody have anything else they want to discuss about the NFL that doesn't pertain to the MVP?
We're going to talk about the Eagles getting their act together.
Because they beat the Giants by 5.
They
got the Giants and the Cardinals left.
Well, what do you think that will they get their act together, Larry?
I think they're kind of suffering. They've lost both their offense and defensive coordinators, and I think it kind of shows.
Still.
Yeah, I expect them still to go deep into the playoffs, though, and they have a opportunity to beat anybody. I'm thinking San Francisco is going to be gunning for them because they had to play them without a quarterback last year. And I think San Francisco has them in their sights. So I can't see them getting by the 49ers.
Charles, do you think the Eagles will get their act together?
I'm not as confident about the Eagles as I was 4, 5, 6 weeks ago. I thought the Eagles had as good a personnel as anybody in football. I really did. And I liked them a lot. I just don't like them as much as I used to. And I'm concerned.
Well, it's hard to play. It's hard when you have 6 major injuries of your team. So sometimes I think people who rank these teams or talk about these teams don't really do all their research, and they don't know the injury situation of teams. Sometimes injuries are important. Okay, just like when the 49ers lost, they said, "Oh, it was just a left tackle. It was just Debo." Those are 2 vital parts of that offense. That those 2 players missing will have an effect on the teams. The Eagles have 6 major injuries to their squad right now. It's hard to overcome.
Right.
The Dolphins have had a lot on their offensive line. They've used more combinations than anybody in the league, except for the Jets.
Yeah, but I guess you'd have to research or know, really be into the team to know all that. Yeah, I don't think the Eagles will get their act together because I don't think all their vital players will be back in time. If all their players that were injured got back healthy, I would probably say Philly could possibly go to the Super Bowl.
I think Darius Slay should be back this week because their secondary has really been hurt. I heard he's going to be back.
Yeah.
Which would certainly be a big help for them.
Let's go over to the NBA. Charles, you're a big fan of his, and you finally got to see him play. Do you think? I haven't heard much about Halliburton since the in-season tournament. Even though the last 2 games he had 30 and he had double figures in points and assists. Do you still consider him a possible first All-NBA?
No, I don't think he's first team All-NBA. And really my argument even back then was I thought there were a lot of good point guards, but I have to tell you those couple of games, the snapshot in time that I saw him play and what he was doing for the Pacers, it actually shocked me a little bit. But he has come back down to earth a little bit. And now the Pacers don't even have a winning record. And you've been saying all along, Go, that you didn't think the Pacers, weren't even going to make the playoffs. I'm wondering it now because they have started to fold. They won last night, but they got a losing record.
Well, forget the first team All-NBA because we're talking about
good play, yeah.
Several players that could fit that role. Just coming from the East, who would be your starting point guard for the All-Star game?
Wow. That's a good question. From point guard from the East. Yeah, I guess if the season ended today he probably would be the starting point guard today. Yeah, I guess. But I'm telling you, Trey. I mean, so we're going to argue about the numbers a little bit.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I can't hear you. You're muffling. Did you give me an answer to the question?
Yeah, I did. I said he would be your starting point guard if the season ended, if the All-Star game was this weekend. Yes, he would be your starting point guard from the East.
Okay, Larry.
I would probably look at him or even Maxey in Philadelphia, one of those two.
See, this is where I get it's a little confusing.
Another thing about these comparisons, I mean, I know this positionless basketball. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I think I'm a sports doctor, but I don't know. It's hard. Some of these guys you guys compare, to me, they're point guards or they're two guards. You might name somebody as a point guard, but to me, they're a two guard. You might say somebody's a two guard. To me, they're a point guard. So I can't really put a handle on this right here. I didn't know that Maxey was the point guard. But then again, I don't look at Steph Curry as a point guard. But Larry will ask me, well, then who's the point guard for Golden State? And I can't name anybody else. I have to shut up because I don't want to say anything silly or stupid. So, I don't know. I don't know.
It's funny. Numbers.
Is Maxey a point guard to you, Charles?
I guess so.
Who's Philly's point guard?
Right. You would have to do that.
Well, who's Philly's two guard? Melton?
I guess Maxey normally brings the ball down and gets the offense started. That's why he's a point guard to me.
Is Doncic a point guard?
Yeah.
Really he is.
Yeah.
Maybe we're going back to the day where we just got two guards.
Like Monroe and Frazier.
Well, you can do that.
Yeah, I mean that's what you going back to the 70s. I mean, point guard we started specializing and stuff, but nothing wrong with two guys that can handle the ball.
I gotta say though, and again, it's gonna sound weird, but I tell you, Brunson. I just don't think Brunson, in terms of his impact and what he does and how he does it, I think Brunson is like underrated. Does that make sense? Like I know he's not fabulous and all that stuff, but
I think most people think Brunson can play with anybody out there.
I do too. That's how I feel. But
Mr. Finner says Trae Young.
His numbers are amazing. Trey's numbers he got numbers now. Their team doesn't have the wins, but he got numbers. Big time.
Is Trae Young a point guard?
Yeah.
Earl's a little skittish on people that shoot. That's what it is.
No, I'm not skittish. I would say he's a point guard, yes.
Yeah.
He's just a hog, that's all. He's just a hog. You can be a point guard and be a hog. And you can be, but
Michael Jordan a hog?
Was Michael Jordan a hog?
Yeah.
Not really. Michael Jordan did what had to be done to win the games. A hog is somebody that shoots every time, all the time, regardless of whether he gonna get his shot. He can hit the side of the basket. He'll still be shooting. That's a hog. You thought Michael Jordan was a hog?
Based on the definition,
get ready to take
based on
over.
the definition that you just used, based on the definition you just used. That's why I was asking the question.
Okay, well, on the definition that you would use, Charles, do you consider Michael Jordan to be a hog?
Nah, I wouldn't.
Would you, Larry?
I wouldn't consider Trae a hog either.
Not by my definition. My definition is a hog is somebody that all they does is show. Sharice has a good one.
What is that thing besides Harden? Is that a somebody laughing?
That's her like with her hand like this, something like that. Hey, Sharice.
Hey, Sharice. I never.
Happy
I always thought you were good. I didn't know you were just silly because that's so silly. He doesn't even play in the West. Okay, all right. In the East. Okay, all right. Brunson is extremely underrated, says Mr. Finner.
I think she's saying he's a hog girl.
Oh, she's saying he's like Harden. He's a hog.
Yeah. We were talking about hogs. That's what I think she was.
Okay,
Hey,
everybody's
go.
everybody's adding their own stuff into these shows, man, and they ain't following the pattern of what I'm asking. Okay. Whatever.
Hey, go. Who would be your if the season ended today? Who would be, or the All Star game was this weekend? Who would be your starting point guard from the East?
Oh, it would be Halliburton.
Yeah,
I don't see how you're picking anyone else.
Right.
But remember, there's a big difference between starting point guard in the East All Star team and All NBA.
Oh yeah. The West has a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So nobody likes Harden. Okay. If Trey Young gets a better option, he'll pass it. Sharice is right. Harden is a total hog.
I was actually thinking about Harden when we were talking about hogs too.
And yet he's one of the top assist guys in the league and has been the last few years.
I'm trying to do something different this week. Try to keep the show as short as possible. So I'm not going to get into that. That's a touchy subject. I don't think he's a hog. I just think he knows he can score anybody he wants to score on when he's not fat and out of shape. So I don't know. If you can score on him, take him. Is Kobe Bryant a hog?
Yes.
I didn't think so.
How you gonna get 81 points, Larry, if you ain't a hog?
That's one game, Charles. One game doesn't
that's what I look. I look at Harden as a hog because he brings the ball down and then he holds it until like 2 seconds left. Shot clock, so nobody else can shoot. And then he shoots it.
Okay. All right. Was Dominique Wilkins a hog?
I don't think either one of those two were.
Allen Iverson?
I didn't think him either.
Okay. Charles Snowden.
Gregory Saunders a hog?
Big time. One of the biggest he ever played in DC. Let me change my subject. I never got to see a lot of his games.
I just got myself in trouble, by the way.
I never got him.
No comment here.
I never got to see him that many St. Anthony games, but I did see him in Urban Coalition, and he's one of the biggest hogs that ever played in Urban Coalition. Now, Urban Coalition and St. Anthony games are two different things, but this guy shot the ball every time he got on his hands. I actually thought that he was the man. That's what I thought. I thought
he was ahead of his time. He was ahead of his time. Back when we was in high school, more was expected of people playing defense and all of that. He would fit in today's NBA as a 3-point shooter because you can get it to him on the wing and he's going to shoot that ball.
He's going to shoot the ball.
And he'll make it a lot of times too. I mean, when he's hot, he's hot.
Yeah, but there's sometimes where
he was ahead of his time.
He is a left-hander now. He is a left-hander. There were times when Greg Saunders' game was inconsistent. At the games that I saw him play. Let me put it that. I didn't see him as much as you and Larry Charles, so I can't say. I can say he was a temporary hog at least. Was Bernard King a hog?
Ooh, that's a good one.
No, he didn't have nobody on his team. No one else was going to score. He had to do what he had to do.
That's what I felt about Allen Iverson. That's why he had to score so much because
Allen Iverson was a hog.
Yeah.
But it was a good hog. Okay, Charles, let's move on. You spent too much time on MVPs and hogs. Okay. Charles Norman, will the Lakers, the Warriors, is it possible that the Lakers, Warriors, and Phoenix will not make the playoffs?
So here's the point. I don't think all three will. I don't know which I don't know if with one of the three or two of the three. It all depends on those other good teams in the West. I do not think all three will. Does that make sense?
No. But anyway, Larry, do you think yeah, I understand what you're saying.
I kind of look at it like Chuck. If we're talking about making the top 10, even to make the play-in, I think one of those teams is not going to make the play-in.
Yeah.
Now, as far as making the playoffs, you got to win the play-in too. It's possible another one of them make it eliminated when they had to play in, but one of them won't make that. One of them will be number 11.
I agree.
And I'm thinking it's probably going to be Golden State.
Okay. All right, Larry, we were talking about point guard, y'all NBA All-Star. Today, right now, we're just going by just their performance for this season. Who is your number one point guard in the league?
Ooh,
right
that's a
now
tough
today?
one. That's a tough one. The guy that jumps to mind is De'Aaron Fox. I think,
Charles?
There's plenty of good guys out there, but he just seems to be able to play with anybody.
In anticipation of this question, I asked earlier, was Doncic a point guard? And we all kind of agreed he is.
Yeah.
I think he's the number one point guard.
Okay.
Yeah, he's good. Yeah.
All right. I would take the guy from Oklahoma myself.
Shay.
Is he a point guard?
Yes. He
Okay.
brings the ball down the court all the time. Yes. You look who's Oklahoma Thunder's point guard, Larry?
Giddy brings that ball.
He's not a point guard.
We were having a conversation, me, Neil, and Earl. So Chuck, let me throw this at you. Who are Boston's guards?
The new ball-headed guy, and Brown. Those two.
Okay, who's
yeah. So Drew Holiday. Do all three? So does one of them come off the bench? Does the ball-head one come off the bench?
No.
So they start Tatum, Holiday, that guy, and
White.
Brown.
Yeah.
They start all four of them.
You know, Tatum has made All NBA at guard, right? Normally you look at Brown like he's a forward.
Hey, Charles, do you consider Tatum a two guard?
I honestly consider him a small forward. But if Larry's saying he's made the All-Star team as a two guard, maybe I don't know.
No,
I think of him as a small forward.
Okay, all right.
I see him and Brown that way, Chuck. I see both of them that way.
Brown is a guard. Isn't Tatum like 6'8", 6'9"?
Yeah. But he made it like as a two guard. He gets the votes as a two guard, and Brown's the forward. But I think both of them are kind of they both could probably play either position. But when you throw White into the mix, Earl messing with Neil and I about that Sunday.
Wow. Yeah. But do all four of them start? Holiday, the ball-head kid, Brown, and Tatum. All four start.
Yes.
And so somebody got to play the four. And does Porzingis start?
Yeah.
So Tatum, are we saying that Tatum plays the four when they start?
I'm just asking you, what do you think he is?
I know, but I'm trying to understand who plays the four for the Celtics.
They truly have a positionless team.
Right. Good Lord. Yeah, I consider him a small forward. And you answer your question, go. Horford doesn't start?
Nah, he's not when Porzingis starts. He comes out the bench.
Oh.
Okay. All right. We did the point guards. We did the so nobody has Doncic as a number one point guard. They're number one point guard.
I do.
Chuck said that.
I have Doncic.
Hard to argue with that.
Do you think Shai Gilgeous is a two guard or a point guard, Charles?
I guess he's the point guard. I think he's the point guard, go. It's like Maxey, right?
Oh, wow.
Jamal Murray, okay.
Greg.
Oh, wow.
He's good, though, Greg. He's good.
Hey, Greg.
That's a good point.
Greg, my opinion of Greg has just been downgraded.
Because he had in your opinion, one bad take?
I mean, it's just totally ridiculous. It's just a totally ridiculous pick right there. Jamal Murray? Really?
Hey, Chuck.
Really, Jamal Murray.
What position does Kyrie Irving play?
He's the point guard.
You know he plays for Dallas, right?
He plays the two. I didn't think before I answered that question. Well, actually, they haven't seen him in the last 11 games or something ridiculous.
Well, he's doing his regular. He's been a game avoider throughout his career.
Right. Wow. I like that. I like it, Greg. Stay strong with your choice. I like it.
That's a tough question.
Some good. Well,
what's the tough question?
Even weeks ago,
Who's the best point guard? That's a tough question.
That's why it was a tough question weeks ago when we were talking about Halliburton. He was playing really, really well, but Jesus, there's a lot of great point guards in that league.
My opinion on him. He plays as well as anybody else too. I mean, he plays well, but it's a whole bunch of good ball players out there. Period.
Okay. All right. So Larry Abels.
Mm-hmm.
Chemo Creek. Barring injury, do you think Philadelphia 76ers will do some damage in the playoffs? What I mean by doing damage, do you think they possibly go to the conference final?
Oh, I think they could. Embiid is playing. He's playing great right now.
He's sick right now.
He would be my MVP right now.
No,
I think depending upon who they matched up with, I figure they're going to be second or third. So they'll have to go through Milwaukee or Boston to get to the finals. I don't think they can beat both of those teams, but I think they could probably be one of them.
Charles, Charles, what do you think, barring injury? Do you think the 76ers could go to the conference final?
I think, so I'm going to say it like this, Go. I think they need to add one more piece on that team, and then my answer would be yes. Currently configured, I don't think they can get to the conference final.
Okay. All right.
I'm not a Tobias Harris. I'm just not a big Tobias Harris guy.
Who's harder to guard, Embiid or Jokic, Charles?
Right now, I think it's Embiid.
Larry?
Woo! I wasn't ready for that one. Embiid seems to be playing the best now.
I would say Joker does more than Embiid, but I don't. And from just pure scoring, I think Embiid is a better scorer.
You think Jokic does more than Embiid?
Yeah. Passing and all that stuff.
Maybe on the offensive end, I think he's talking about Earl. I don't think he's a defender. I don't think Chuck's saying he's a defender, but I think offensively, what he's driving at.
Right.
Am I right, Chuck?
Yeah. But I still think I still think Embiid or Joker does more. I just do. He's not as defensively as good as Embiid.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking you were saying on the offensive end. Yeah.
Okay, Larry Abels is are the Orlando Magic and are the Orlando Magic
in Minnesota?
I'm struggling, guys, in Minnesota.
Timberwolves?
Yeah, are they for real? Both teams.
I think the Magic is an up and coming team. They might get one first round victory, but that'll be it. I think Minnesota is the real deal. They've got some veteran players on their team that are pretty good, and their young bull, Anthony Edwards, is that he might be the best player in the NBA, even though I saw him and Gil Alexander go against each other last night, and I think Alexander got the better of him. But Minnesota looks for real to me.
Okay, Lauren, my girl Lauren.
Good answer, Lauren. You're right on top of things. How you doing?
Hey, Lauren.
Okay. Magic, no. Minnesota, yes. Well,
by the way, Earl, that's my answer too.
So what does a sports doctor think?
I think they both are real. 2 weeks ago, I would have said the same answer, but Magic is still winning. It is what it is. To answer your question, I think they both are for real. To answer the question, subconsciously, I'm saying no on Magic, but until they start going down, I got to go with them. I don't know why. I have no idea why they wouldn't. I don't want to hear nothing about this guy from Duke. He's a clown, so I don't know. But
he's playing pretty well.
So you know what happened on Christmas Day? I found interesting. The NFL was like, I'm sick and tired of the NBA, having Christmas Day for them. And I didn't watch any NBA this Christmas, and I watched a lot of NFL. And I don't know if it's because the way it fell on that day. I don't know. I don't know if it's a conscious decision by the NFL to go after the NBA for Christmas Day. But I found that interesting from a business perspective.
Well, last season they had 2 games on Christmas Day, and last season Christmas was on Sunday. So I was kind of surprised that they played most of their games on Saturday, and they only had 2 games. This year they had 3 on Monday, which is a little different. I unlike you, I wasn't, the only game I really had to see was that
late game.
Yeah, late game. I watched and the only basketball game I really had to see, I wanted to see the Lakers and the Celtics. So those are the 2 primary games I saw. Everybody else I was kind of switching back and forth.
Right.
So
well, actually the Knicks and Bucks game.
Back to Mr. Finner. Charles and Larry, maybe you can tell us who is the 2 guard for the Nuggets?
Oh, that's that guy KCP.
Yep. That's who it is. Unless you think he plays the point. Murray handles it a lot more than him.
I don't think Denver has a point guard. I don't think they have a point guard.
Okay.
KCP ain't no 2 guard. And I don't see Jamal bringing the ball down the court every play. For the Denver games that I have watched, I can't speak for the games that you guys have watched.
It's usually him or Joker.
Right.
Those 2 bring it down. So I don't think Joker.
Okay, watch Denver games.
Yeah, I was thinking about Porter. He said Porter, but I think KCP is more of a 2 than Porter is. I was thinking about Porter first.
Come on, Greg. I had high thoughts on you. Porter is he's not no kind of guard. He's not no kind of 1 guard, 2 guard, and nothing.
He's probably a 3.
Yeah.
Greg's probably thinking if Tatum is the 2 guard, then why couldn't Porter be? I mean,
nobody thinks Tatum is the 2 guard but Larry. Larry's the only one that thinks Tatum.
No.
NBA. He's NBA voted
Look at the all-NBA team. You'll see him as a 2 guard.
Love that though, Earl. I love the fact that Earl went after you a little bit that right there, Larry.
I'm not going after him.
He said only Larry thinks he's a 2 guard.
Yeah, because that's what we discussed it for about 15 minutes the other day.
And I keep telling him that's what he got voted.
That's funny.
I tend to think of him as a 3. Him and Brown, they both seem like 3s to me. I put White in the and Hardaway as the 1 and 2.
Do I know Greg Finner?
Greg went to Roosevelt. You didn't?
But you say he's younger than us, though, right?
Yeah, a little bit.
If he's younger than us, then I don't know him.
Right.
10th graders don't know.
Great guy, though. I'm gonna tell you, Greg is one of the great guys. He's a stand-up dude, boy. I like him a lot.
Up until
a good golfer. He's a great golfer.
Up until tonight, I was gonna tell you to see if he can come on the show.
I want to invite him on the show. Actually, well, we'll talk about that later.
Do it on the night when I'm not gonna be on. I mean,
Greg, when Earl treats you like this, that means that's his way of showing he likes you.
I know, right? He's been treating me like that for 50 years, Greg.
Wait a minute. There's no way you could ask 10 people and no one would say Porter Jr. is a 2 guard. Nobody. Nobody would say that for him. He can't even dribble. He can't dribble. He never drives to the basket. He don't have no handles now. He'll shoot your face off if you leave him open. He can't dribble. He drops.
So what is?
Wait, hold on. He drops a 3 ball every night. Does that make him a guard?
So Earl, who's their 2 guard? Is it KCP?
I already told you 6 minutes ago, Denver does not have a point guard. KCP ain't no point guard.
When they fill out the lineup card, and the positions have to be filled out, they don't put a position by some of those
There are
guys.
plenty of teams.
I found out tonight Boston is like that. I didn't know that.
Oh man, we were having this conversation Sunday, and we hadn't even spoken about a Holiday, right?
Right.
And then I was kind of saying, well, what about Drew Holiday?
Good Lord.
I don't see him as being a point guard.
Oh, he's a point guard. He's a point guard. I can't see how you can't see him.
All right,
He's definitely a point guard.
we're gonna wrap this up. Who's representing the East and the West in the NBA Finals, Larry?
Boston and Denver.
Charles Snowden?
Boston Lakers.
Okay.
Lakers aren't finished. They're gonna do some trading and stuff. They ain't finished.
Charles, the Lakers are finished.
No, they're gonna add some pieces. Go. They just raised the banner, didn't they?
Okay, let's pretend LeBron wasn't your son. Who would you pick, Charles? Let's pretend LeBron wasn't your son.
It's hard for me. I can't even put I can't do it.
All right. I'm not going to ask you this, Charles. This is a question only for Larry. Larry, should LeBron James be considered first team All NBA? It's the season ended right now.
Is that 10 players or 5 players?
First team is going to be 5 players.
First team, there are only 5 players on the team, Charles. So how could it be 10? I said first team. That's 5 players. So why would you say?
I got to think of who I would have on there.
Why would you say 10, Charles?
Charles, I was trying to.
I would probably not. I probably wouldn't have him on the top, but he would be close.
All right, Charles. Why did you say 10?
That's exactly why I said 10 versus 5. That's why I was asking the question. It'd be tough for him to be on the. I have to really think about that, Go. I don't know that he'd be on the top. My top 5.
Everything you just described is why he's a 2 guard. Okay, Charles. Do you have any closing remarks?
I actually do, Go, and thank you for asking. Hey, I'm with you, Greg Fenner. I don't know if he's a 2 or a 3, but I hear you loud and clear. All right. 2023 is about to wrap up, and I was giving some thought to what sports, what situations, what games, and what have you in sports affected me, what caught my attention for the year, and I just want to quickly run through a couple things. Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese, when those 2 ladies had the finals in the NCAA, I thought it was special, and I love Angel, but Caitlin Clark is my favorite basketball player, girl or boy, college basketball player. College football, Dion, that 4 or 5 week, we were all caught up in that. That was pretty significant. And then with the conferences going away and the money and the NIL, college football and college basketball is going through a thing right now. So it'll be interesting to see how that falls out. And I think 2023 was big in that. The NBA, congratulations to Denver, won their first title. Lakers won the first in-house, in-season tournament. They raised their banner. Got to give them some plug. That happened this year. That Kansas City, Philadelphia Super Bowl, 38-35, that was a hell of a game. That was a hell of a football game in the Super Bowl. So I want to make mention of that. Texas beating Arizona in the World Series. Oh, who cares? And I just want to give America a quick shout out, the brothers and sisters in America who returned the 100 meters. Cherie Richardson returning the 100 meters back to America. And then the Noah Lyles, returning the men's version of the 100 meters back to America. And all that happened in 2023. Those are a couple of the things that caught my attention. I wanted to make mention of them. I guess it would go.
For next week, Charles, maybe I know you were like the last one to join the show, and maybe you're not aware of that. It's the closing remark. It's not a closing monologue. We usually keep our closing comments to 1 to 2 minutes.
Was that more than a minute?
It was 3.5.
Okay, sorry.
All right, Larry, do you have any closing remarks?
Yeah, I'm gonna give a shout out to the John Morant. I'm a big NBA fan, as everyone knows, and I've been enjoying this year, thinking they have an abundance of great players, and John has come back and has really gone right back up to being one of the best players. He's not eligible for the NBA, All NBA, because he's not going to be able to play enough games due to his suspension. But oh my goodness, I'm glad he's back, and I look forward to watching him on TV at night.
Is he a point guard?
To me, he is
4-0 in his return. Memphis is 4-0 since he came back.
What?
Maybe Bain is their point guard. I don't know.
No. You know that he's his point guard. I don't even understand why Charles asked that question, but I do understand it's not for me to understand everything. So I want to thank you guys for tuning in on the show today. And Larry and Charles, you guys are great as always. We want to thank Mr. Finner for coming on, and Kung Fu. My girls, Lauren and Sharice, signing in. And I hope everybody had a very happy New Year. And as Charles said earlier in the show, that you had a great Christmas as well. My name is Earl Rush, and I'm
The sports doctor.
the sports doctor, aka the sports doctor. I hope everybody has a great evening. I want to meet this guy, Greg. I just want to sit down and have a talk.
We're going to get him on the show, Earl. We're going to get him on the show.
I can't. When you say Porter is a 2 or 3 guy, no, I can't do that. Not on my show. You can bring him on your show. Larry can bring him on his.
That's what I'm going to do.
Okay, well, you do that. Just
Chuck's hosting next week, right?
Yeah, I got it.
Yes.
Thank you, Sharice. Happy New Year to you too.
Thank you, Sharice.
Good job, Go-Go.
Thanks, Greg. Appreciate everything, man.
Yeah. All right, you guys, we're out of here.